welcome WrestleBuddies to our weekly podcast. We are live, me and my Drip King brother Jimmy. How are we doing, Jim?
Doing fantastic on this day. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate, not too bad. It was a bit of a weird week this week, wasn't it, in the world of wrestling, but we did get some interesting points of view out there, I think.
Yeah.
As always, you know. So, what did you think of this week's in wrestling, just before we actually go?
From what I've seen, I enjoyed most of what I watched. I haven't caught Smackdown yet. I'm always late on that one just because I've kind of lost a little bit of interest in it lately. But I think it was a pretty good week of wrestling.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, was it? I mean, you know, there was obviously little bits and bobs of. Hi Courtney, alright? Courtney, I just want to say to you as well, thank you so much for your participation in the Devon Dudley interview the other day. I really appreciated you joining in, and I also appreciated the content and stuff like that. So thanks very much for that, I appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't think it was oh god, here he is.
There he is.
Hey! Here's the Joker. How we do, Joker? I think Mox will return at the Rumble and attack both Reigns and Seth Rollins. Do you know what? It wouldn't be it wouldn't surprise me at all, mate, at the moment. The one thing I will say though is apparently they've give Reigns John Moxley's got a return date now, hasn't he?
Yep, for GCW against Homicide.
Yeah, which is interesting considering, you know, not saying that GCW is that way intended, but you know, it's more likely that the drinks and all the rest of it around that kind of people, you know, you'd think Tony Khan might have ring-fenced them a little bit and looked after them a bit more.
Yeah, I see them forcing a John Moxley return on Dynamite before that GCW show, 100%. There's no way Tony's going to let arguably his biggest name show up somewhere else prior to his show. I just don't see that happening.
Well, it's whether he can stop him or not, anything like that, isn't it? You know what I mean? He may not be able to, you know, to actually stop him from doing that. But okay, let's get into it then. So the first thing that we want to go through is this week it was announced that potentially Roman Reigns is going to drop the title at Royal Rumble. Apparently, you know, the main plan was, before obviously everything got changed up with Roman getting COVID, that he was going to drop the title to Lesnar, and it looks like WWE, which is a very WWE thing to do, is they're going to change it round now, and they're going to make Roman lose the title at Royal Rumble, and then that's against Seth, and then we get to where we were going to be anyway, because apparently Seth was going to win the title off Big E anyway, and then Roman was going to drop to Brock. So this is a way to cross it over, and then apparently it'll be Seth will take the title back to Raw, and Brock will beat Brock and pop over to SmackDown, because obviously the one thing that they keep hammering home, which tells me that this could potentially be a good story, is the fact that they keep hammering home the fact that Brock Lesnar has his he's a free agent, he can go where he wants to, you know, they're always saying it, he always keeps showing up. What's your thoughts on all this, Jimmy?
Man, that's a lot of speculation and rumors, and this was going to happen, that was going to happen, now they got to do this and that. I don't know what they were going to do, but I do know WWE is good at one thing, and that's their ability to work on the fly when things go wrong. When things go wrong, I feel like that's when WWE is honestly at their best. And I think Roman getting COVID, thank goodness, you know, he's all better and nothing happened of it. It might have been the best thing going forward into WrestleMania season, because the doors are now completely kicked open and we really have no idea where they're heading. And wrestling is best, in my opinion, when it's just unpredictable.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And, you know, the fact of the matter is, I think WWE, as you say, are really good at that, but they're also really good at getting back on track when something goes off, aren't they, Zane? What's your thoughts on all this, Zane? Nice of you to join us, Frenchly.
I apologize. I hope my internet isn't shit as usual. Oh, it's working.
Well, you watch your potty mouth. My son's watching this stream. Hi, Ashton.
Hello, Dad. Yeah, so I have to agree with Jimmy over here, like, because when WWE is backed into a corner, that's when they produce some of the best stuff. Because Brock Lesnar being inserted into the WWE title picture was, like, many people might disagree with this, and I'm obviously sad that Big E lost the title, but that match was insanely good. And I think that deserves to be in the main event of day one. And I'm happy with Brock Lesnar winning the championship, but eventually we all know that the road it's heading down to is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. But the interesting part is how we're going to get there. Who's going to drop the title? Because personally, I want Lashley to win over Lesnar, but at this point, either thing can happen. Rollins can beat Roman, and then Roman and Lesnar can feud for the WWE Championship, or Lashley can beat Lesnar and Roman can feud over the Universal Championship. So there's a lot going on here, and I have to agree, as Jimmy said, it's some of the best stuff because this is unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Now, Cody said here, yeah, that's news to me, but I had a feeling it was going to happen. Well, it's the biggest match, and the one thing that I will say, Jimmy, is because of the way that they've kind of gone about this, and, as Dane's just quite rightly said, we don't know how they're going to get there or what's actually happening. It is making it interesting, and even though we've seen Lesnar versus Reigns on a number of occasions, it feels new, doesn't it? It feels fresh at the moment, you think?
Absolutely. And just to kind of go back on like the losing titles, and we know Brock and Roman is happening at WrestleMania at this point. And we're referencing like, is Brock gonna drop the title? Is Roman gonna drop the title? I'm of the belief that there's a possibility they both drop their title at the Rumble. And then you go into WrestleMania with they have to add something to this feud for it to be a WrestleMania level main event. And without a title, how do you do that? I don't know. There's possibilities though. And I think if both of those guys were to leave the Rumble without a title, I think that, again, the doors have been kicked open. But if that was to happen, you're knocking the whole wall down because it's like, where do you go from there? And
could you not look at something like maybe putting Paul Heyman on the line, so Paul Heyman's services for whoever wins? Because at the moment you've kind of been, obviously not Paul Heyman on a pole, but in my eyes, if say for instance you've done something like this, Jim, this just play this scenario out and going after WrestleMania, so you have Paul Heyman's services up for grabs because obviously Paul's torn between the two of them want him. You can have this kind of where whoever wins gets Heyman to stay his services. Roman beats Brock at WrestleMania and then is an absolute dick to Heyman for like the next 3 or 4 months after that kind of. But it's like, well, you can't go anywhere and you've got to do what I say,
That's possible, but then I feel like if they did that, then we're just leading down another road to Brock and Roman at SummerSlam again. And I want WrestleMania to be the last of it. And I feel like if titles aren't on the line, they could do careers on the line. I mean, Brock is at a point where you can shake your head on no all you want, Zane, but you think about it, Roman has been teasing leaving. So in the fans' eyes, it's like, okay, is he the next megastar to leave for Hollywood? Is that a thing? And then you have Brock, who, again, he doesn't need this business. He's set. And I'm sure there is a story that you could tell that makes people believe that these two, they hate each other, obviously. And if a title's not for line, what's the next most, I guess, the biggest thing you could do? And it's retire. If Roman could retire Brock, that's a huge thing. I'm just spitballing because, again...
This is what I mean. There's lots of different ways that this could go. I mean, me personally, I think there's got to be a title on the line. Zane, what's your thoughts with that?
Definitely there's going to be a title on the line because here's how WWE thinks. They want a title picture in a big match, in a marquee match that's already, because the title actually pushes the caliber of the match up. And as to what where Brock and Reigns are going to go after this, I feel like at SummerSlam, it's going to be Brock and Reigns again. Because who you got for SummerSlam? If, let's say, The Rock is going to be Roman's next WrestleMania opponent, and Roman ain't dropping the belt anytime soon. I don't think Roman's dropping the belt at SummerSlam if you have guys like Braun Breaker in your mind. I feel like at SummerSlam, there isn't anyone you can call back from the past to have as big of a match with Roman as Brock Lesnar could. So I feel like here, Roman might take the win, but this is far from over. This is going to be far from over. And I think SummerSlam is the final nail in the coffin for this feud. Although I hope that it ends at WrestleMania. It's a bit of a wishful thing. I have to agree with how Jimmy would be booking it. But if I were to get into the mind of Vince McMahon, I don't see this ending before SummerSlam.
No. I mean, there's not a lot of talents out there, is there, that can come up to this level at the moment. But just guys in the chat, just to let you know that we are going to be talking about the Royal Rumble, so we haven't missed your comments. We're just going to leave until we get to that point in the
We're
show.
on purpose ignoring you.
Now, just one thing when you say about SummerSlam and setting up a few for SummerSlam. Now, Dave Meltzer did report this week that apparently WWE are looking to rebrand the Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania Chamber.
Have you heard his comments about the chamber not being in? Have you?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about,
Yes.
This is. I'm not gonna say that, but holy shit! That was something.
Yeah, well, apparently this is what we're doing, but yeah, obviously we don't want to make fun of Auschwitz or anything to do with that. So I don't really want to mention that. But one thing I will say, as I say, he has mentioned that this is what we're going to be looking at, and it could be a good way to, because obviously I feel like WrestleMania lost something when they made the the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, because obviously with the first ones on, it was a really, really great match on WrestleMania when it was on there, and obviously it's morphed into its own pay-per-view, and if WWE are not looking to do the pay-per-view in the, with it being in a stadium, it might actually be easier to set up the Elimination Chamber rather than trying to do it in arenas with the whole rig that they've got in the space. I don't know. It may be, Jim.
I'm just saying, for the Dallas Stadium, no, because the biggest thing with the Dallas Stadium is that they have this massive TV that's almost the size of their football field that's hanging down below, and I just imagine that that's where the ring is going to be, is right below there. So if they had the structure above that, I don't think it fits.
Oh,
so I don't see any kind of structure happening at WrestleMania for that reason alone, unless they shift it to another part of the field, and then they're kind of there's minimal room because of how big that TV is.
Unless, they were saying about doing the 2-for-1s on WrestleMania tickets this year so far, whether they get another thing, maybe they're looking on a way to fill a little bit of the stadium that's not going to be filled with fans. Maybe you don't know which way to do it. I don't know. I'm not really against them putting an Elimination Chamber in the WrestleMania. I think it adds to WrestleMania. I've not been a big fan of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. I feel like it's always been kind of a B pay-per-view and not really well thought of. If we could just get one Elimination Chamber match in WrestleMania, me personally, I think it adds to WrestleMania, and also with the number of participants in the match, it gets some people into the pay-per-view that maybe would not have got there. So, what's your thoughts on that match being at WrestleMania, Jim?
I want it to have purpose. That's kind of my thing with the Hell in a Cell as well. I don't want them to be doing Elimination Chamber just as much as I love the Elimination Chamber matches. They're fun to watch. I feel like there has to be a real reason to be putting the 6 men in that structure vying for the title. And
could you do number one contender though?
Yeah, but then I feel like that would be something you do prior to WrestleMania at the Saudi show.
But if you could do it at WrestleMania with the winner going on to a world title shot at SummerSlam, it sets something up for SummerSlam then, doesn't it, straight away?
If they're going to do something like that for SummerSlam, I'll give it a chance, just because I like that they'd be planning ahead to their next big show. It shows that they're actually putting in effort. But again, that's purpose, so I'm cool with it. I don't want them to be doing it just for the sake of doing it. Like, we have an IC title, we don't have competitors, let's put 6 men in the ring and make it a ladder match. That's dumb to me. Of course, it's fun to watch, but at the end of the day, it's dumb, because it's like, why are you really doing it? And that's my take on the Elimination Chamber. It's just there has to be a real reason for it.
Okay. The other thing that may happen is, just because he said it's going to get renamed WrestleMania Chamber doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen at WrestleMania, does it?
WrestleMania.
It might not. No, but Jimmy, you've just made a very good point there. It could be a matter of, if whoever wins the Royal Rumble goes on to in a triple threat with Roman and Brock, or if Brock and Roman both drop the titles, that could happen, and then it's a good way to get a really solid match on the Saudi card to then with relevance to WrestleMania. So that could be the way, couldn't it?
They just did the Hell in a Cell at the last one, so what's the next step up? You do an Elimination Chamber at the Saudi show. I think that would be my bet going forward. And it's not the WrestleMania chamber. I don't care what Uncle Dave said.
No, but as I say, Zane, you could call it a WrestleMania chamber if there's a WrestleMania championship match on the line in the match, could you not? Maybe that's the route they're going down. It may just be a one-off.
You could, but what's the point? Like, name everything WrestleMania. WrestleMania Chamber, Great Balls of WrestleMania, WrestleMania Backlash. The WrestleMania Backlash is already a thing. What else? Survivor Series, WrestleMania Edition. It's dumb. I'm going to
interrupt, and I will say the WrestleMania Backlash one, I know a lot of people gave it shit. It makes perfect sense because it's Backlash from WrestleMania. So you need to get off that high horse right there and just accept that it's a real thing and it's perfectly understandable.
No, I like to shit on it.
Okay. Well, we're gonna move on now. Now, just before we move on, Zane, me and you need a conversation, right? Okay. Now, I'm gonna warn you very, very clearly before I have to go and purchase a ticket to come to your country and kick you in the head, right? When we are talking about forbidden doors and surprise entrants in matches, right? Under no circumstances are you to mention he who shall not be named. Do you hear me? Do you understand?
At least once. Just give once.
Okay, right, Zane. So, there's being told that there's going to be a special entrance in the Royal Rumble. That could be, a very special Forbidden Door guy who's going to come in as a big surprise. Who do you think it's going to be, Zane?
Eddie Kingston.
There we go. Okay. Now we've got that out of the system. Let's have an intelligent conversation, right? So yeah, as we said, there's being talked that there's going to be a Forbidden Door entrance in the Royal Rumble, which makes perfect sense considering WWE have released a lot of talent. It's beneficial for WWE. It could be very beneficial for the company of whoever else it comes in to do that, and also the wrestler themselves. Jimmy, what do you think on this, and who do you think is more likely to be the Forbidden Door entrant?
Eddie Kingston. No, I'm just joking. I will say this.
Jimmy, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, mate.
As far as the men's side goes, I don't think there's going to be a Forbidden Door entrant. I know they're trying for it. I don't think it's going to happen. I've seen a lot of people throwing out these wild names, Jericho and Moxley, because it makes sense because Rollins and Reigns are fighting. You bring in Moxley, it's a big deal. I know it is the 10th anniversary of the Shield thing, and it would make sense if he wasn't in AEW, though. He would have to be anywhere else besides AEW. But
why would that make a difference if AEW have been doing bits and bobs behind the scenes apparently with WWE, also AEW contractors are not exclusive to AEW, so unless there's some kind of formatting in Jon Moxley's contract that stops him from doing it, what's to say he couldn't do it?
He could do it, absolutely he could do it. I don't see it happening. And I also, we touched on it earlier where Mox has his first match announced with Homicide at the GCW show, and I firmly 100% believe Khan is going to rush that man on Dynamite to get the first
return
appearance of Mox since he left, because he's not going to let someone else get that from him. No. So that would also fall around the same time as the Royal Rumble. So with all that, with Mox, I just don't see it happening. It would be very cool if they can incorporate it somehow to where he shows up and there's a Shield thing. But with him not in the Rumble, it wouldn't make sense either, because then how you even have that crossover unless he's interfering in the match, which makes no sense, or if they're not in the Rumble, which they're not. So that's a dead one to me.
Okay. Well, okay. See,
I'll give you one last name though. If there was an AEW person that will do the Royal Rumble, sorry to cut you off, but if there is one person, it's a name that no one's brought up, and it's the one that makes the most sense to me. It's gonna be Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, that was someone.
It's clear that if there's someone from AEW, it's got to be Daniel Bryan because of his relationship with Vince. It's the only one that makes sense to me.
Okay. Well, sorry, Zane, we are getting to you now, and I'm going to ask you a question, so shut up and I will get over to you. Okay. It's nice that you've got nice internet now, but okay, let's stay with the programme, mate. Okay, Chris LaBelle says MJF in the Rumble. Courtney says why does everyone think MJF will be in the Rumble? Zane, do you care to explain why everyone thinks MJF will be in the Rumble?
Yes, I think this is coming off of a WrestleBoats report that they broke earlier this week that WWE is trying for a Forbidden Door entrant. And I feel like MJF has been the one who's been giving this little nudges and nods toward possibly like starting a bidding war in 2024 and having Bruce Prichard on speed dial. So, and whenever we talk about the first AEW guy to jump to WWE, I think it's either Jimmy or Andy, either you have to, who always bring up the name MJF because he's the kind of guy who is kind of teasing that. But I think that people are misconstruing the statement, that the report. I don't think it's going to be an AEW guy. I think it's from New Japan. And I think that Jay White could be a very good pick because Jay White is in USA right now. He's been working New Japan Strong. And he hasn't made an AEW appearance yet. He has been like kind of like two shifts passing in the night with Kenny Omega at Impact. Yeah. But I feel like it's going to be a New Japan pick because earlier, a few months ago, we heard the report that Nick Khan was working on developing a relationship with New Japan. So I think a recognizable name, a Forbidden Door entrant, I don't think it's going to be from AEW. I think it's most probably, if there is going to be and it's going to be a recognizable name, it's going to be Jay White, but I don't think there is going to be any Forbidden Door entrant in the men's order.
Ospreay?
I don't think they're going to send Ospreay there. No. Ospreay doesn't have interest in working WWE.
That's what he said the other week, and that's what he's come out and said very, very clearly.
To be fair, isn't his girlfriend working for NXT UK?
Bea Priestley?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
I think that's worth noting, I guess, because I would have said no to Will Ospreay, but now that I'm thinking about that's worth noting.
It's also worth noting that Will Ospreay come out when nobody asked him and made a big statement to say he wouldn't be going to WWE and he wouldn't go and work there.
And Paul Heyman has co-signed that man. There's love there. There's big love there.
Yeah. Oh, I also almost forgot about another entrant. So imagine it's number 30th, right? And and like the lights go off, and it's the main event of Royal Rumble, and this like obviously if they're gonna get a Forbidden Door entrant, that person is gonna be main eventing WrestleMania, and I don't know, AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre in the ring, like they're the last two standing. Lights go off, and like Eddie Kingston walks down the ramp and eliminates the both of them, and then main events WrestleMania and beats both Roman and Brock.
And then security tackles him because he jumped the rail, and they're like, "What the hell is this man doing here? He's a fan. Get him out of the building."
It's never going to happen, mate. I think Eddie Kingston is the least likely person to ever end up in WWE. And not even because he spoke out, just because of the way he looks, mate. I don't think he's ever going.
He did give an NXT trial once.
Yeah. Well, one thing that nobody's mentioned here, which is quite interesting, and, we've already got Mickie James from Impact Wrestling. Any people from Impact Wrestling we'd look at, maybe?
Josh Alexander.
Okay, Jimmy, anyone from you?
And it's not even someone I care to see, if it's someone from Impact Wrestling, my money would be on Matt Cardona. But that's it. Yeah. That's
I think Moose might be a more viable option because Moose is kind of the WWE look.
Who do you think is going to get a bigger pop coming out? Moose or Matt Cardona?
Matt Cardona, obviously.
Okay.
No one knows who Moose is.
That's what WWE is going to be looking for. They want that. So
yeah,
or it could be an ROH guy.
Matt Cardona is not under contract to Impact either.
Oh, he's not? I thought he was.
He's like a freelancer.
No, he wrestles there a lot, but he's not actually under contract to them. He's not under contract to anyone, Matt Cardona. So, it could be very plausible, Jim. I don't think Moose would be there because, one, the biggest reason I don't think Moose should go there is because if I was Impact Wrestling, I wouldn't want to be getting my... unless he gets down to the final three or something like that, I wouldn't be wanting my champion to be getting thrown over the top rope.
No.
Yeah. But is Mickie James going to win the Rumble then? Because she's the current Knockouts champion. And do you think they're going to...
No, but it'd be very plausible for her to get through to the final four or final three.
Didn't Mickie just lose?
Oh,
she won. The title.
I know she won at the pay-per-view, but I thought at the Thursday show she lost.
Did she?
No spoilers. Oh, wait, did she? Let me check.
I'm sorry if I spoiled it. It's been 2 days over here. I apologize. But I think I read that, and they were because I saw.
Where's the Joker? Is the Joker still in the chat? Joker, can you confirm or deny, please?
No, current champion is Mickie James. Yeah, I just checked.
I mean, I don't trust you, Zayn.
Come on.
No,
the current
so we've
knockout
got
champion is Eddie
just in the chat. Shut up, Zane. So in the chat we've got Crystal Bell says Moose, Courtney says Josh Alexander, Roxy lost. Did Mickey James lose Courtney? I know Roxy lost to Diona Peraza, didn't she?
Yeah.
But did Mickey James lose? Be interesting to see whether he lost or not. But anyway, talking about
Wikipedia says otherwise.
What? You go on Wikipedia to get facts.
Mickey James is the champion right now.
I could go on Wikipedia.
No.
Moose is the women's champion right now. Be quiet.
Allowed to use Wikipedia for facts, but just to make a point, I didn't say Mickey James, mate. I said Diona Peraza beat Roxy.
Oh, okay.
I guess Mickey James is. I don't know what I saw then. I saw something different. Then she's still the champion. I saw someone say that Mickey wouldn't be the knockout champion now when she was at the Rumble.
Yeah, no. So Courtney, Diona beat Roxy, didn't she? Did Mickey James wrestle on Thursday's show? I don't believe she did, but can you just check that for me if you don't mind, or tell us in the chat? Anyway, Jane, you mentioned it before about the first person to come from AEW over to WWE. Obviously, we've had a lot going the opposite way. Have you seen... So, yeah, just to confirm, Mickey didn't wrestle, Jim, on Thursday.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Courtney. Appreciate it.
I apologise.
Thank you.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of talk about, obviously, WWE stars that go over to AEW. Just before we get into that, actually, very, very quickly, Crystal Bell said in here, and I just want to get your thoughts on this. The Fiend Wyatt to appear at the Rumble, right? Jimmy? No. Okay, Zane?
No.
No.
I would love it. Personally, would love it.
Yeah.
But the last tweet he had about WWE, no, I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry to show that.
All right, so we'll move on. So, I just wanted to ask about it because obviously Chris just took the time to write it in the chat, and also, to be honest, I thought it was, it's a possibility.
I'd pop hard. Like, it would be awesome.
Yeah, same.
I mean, the thing is, with Bray kind of going back and forth to doing the movies and whatnot now, we might see him come in for one and done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We might get that now and again. So we'll have to wait and see what it comes like. But yeah, anyway, as we were saying, we were talking about AEW to WWE. WWE to AEW. Now, this week it come out saying that Wardlow is potentially interested in a lot of WWE officials, which it's not a surprise when you see the size of him and the look he's got. He's definitely up Vince McMahon's street. Vince McMahon loves a good bit of muscle, doesn't he? So, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, I know Wardlow's come out since and said that he's not going to go put them pee bags away. That he's never going to move from WWE, from AEW. He started his career with AEW and he's going to finish with AEW. Jimmy, what's your thoughts on these reports? And do you see anything in it?
I know everyone has always been of the belief that MJF is a guy that will go to WWE when there's no way he won't go, and it's always made the most sense to me. And I feel like I've dabbled in the thought of Wardlow going, but now that it's been confirmed that WWE has interest, I don't think there's a better person on the AEW roster that fits the mold for what WWE wants. Because with MJF, they'd have to mold him a little bit, and does he work if they have to mold him? I don't know. Probably not as well. With Wardlow, he's still green. There's still room there for you to take him and make him into something. He has the it factor. You see it. He knows how to play to the crowd, which is a huge thing to have. The size, the charisma. Like, he is the guy, and he can say he's AEW for life all he wants. I have no reason to believe he's not going to WWE when the contract's up. WWE is going to throw the bank at that man, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried harder to get Wardlow than they did MJF.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Wardlow would be the one for me if they were going to try and get him. I don't know whether they get him. From the sense of Wardlow seems like he's going to go in AEW, and MJF seems more switched on, and he seems like he'd be the one that'd go. It'd be more up for going over there rather than just the fact that WWE pay go for him. Do you not think that MJF's more likely to want to go over there than Wardlow would?
I think MJF is just playing to the thought of it. It's a very cool angle to use because I don't know of this kind of thing being used before, where you're basically trying to use your rival company as.
But also, let me just ask you something very quickly, Jim. So with someone like MJF, right now, back in the old days of the territories, they used to move people around because obviously the bad guy or the heel would, in the end, he'd run out of steam and
run his course.
And then do you think MJF might have something like that in the back of his mind in the case of he's been in AEW for so long and maybe he'll run his course and he might not be able to do the face turn or whatnot. He might think, okay, now it's time to move on.
Not by 2024. I think him being friends with Cody is beneficial for AEW. I think MJF still has a lot to do as a heel, and then when all that's done, he has a lot to do as a babyface, and all that can be accomplished in AEW with his friend, where they give him the creative freedom to do what he does best. And unless WWE changed how they run things, I don't see any real encouragement for MJF to leave other than a big bank, add money to his bank account. And I think Tony Khan would be absolutely stupid not to match any offer for MJF. Like, he's that good. Like, it would be absolutely stupid of him to let that guy go.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing as well, Zane, is the fact that, when we're talking about MJF contract, he's obviously under contract until 2024, as he keeps saying. We don't know what the professional wrestling landscape's going to look like by that point. Is Vince McMahon still going to be in charge of WWE? Is it going to still be the same kind of thing? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in that amount of time. So, Chris LaBelle says MJF has a better chance of going than Wardlow, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think, when the time comes, Chris, I think that he will go there. But what's your thoughts on that, Zane? Obviously, as I say, 2024 is a long time away and the landscapes could potentially change by then. Who knows if AEW will even have a television deal at that point, or, will the same owners of WWE... And I'm not saying that I wish them not to have a television deal, but I'm saying, things can change, and obviously WWE could change, AEW could be totally different. We don't know, do we?
Yeah, because here's the thing. MJF, I believe, is going to court both sides. He's going to take both offers. He's going to weigh his options. And MJF could... I don't think under Vince McMahon, MJF would want to go to WWE. Because you had EC3. Now, obviously, you can argue that EC3 doesn't have the same untapped potential that MJF has, right? But EC3 was more jacked, and he was pretty good on the mic. And look what they did to him. And MJF knows that for a guy like him, the best role for him could possibly be a Miz-esque role, which isn't bad per se. But I think MJF has much more to accomplish in AEW. And unless there's some drastic change until 2024, I feel like MJF will stay with the AEW. As for Wardlow, I feel like Wardlow is a much better option if you're going to pick someone. If you look at the roster and you go, all right, this guy's going to go to WWE, I think Wardlow would be that one guy.
Okay. Now, I just want to circle back on the Royal Rumble participants as well, very, very quickly, because it's something that I meant to mention before and I didn't. Jimmy, this is probably more for you, is, you said about Chris Jericho and you were shaking your head. Could a Royal Rumble entrance for Jericho using the Judas theme tune, etc., set up a Hall of Fame?
Yeah. I was just about to bring that up. I think... I'm not going to go into the whole Mickie James thing, but I feel like there's a road they can take for Mickie James to have that same kind of carpet rolled out for her, where she goes into WrestleMania with a Hall of Fame induction. And if Chris Jericho did show up, I feel like that would be what it's for. But again, I think it's too soon for Jericho. I think he's.
Does anybody know what Jericho's contract situation is with AEW? Surely it may. I know I've seen the likes of Big Swall's contracts come up, and
I think it's coming up. I think it's coming up soon.
So, we don't know, do we, Jericho? Because let's face it, he's getting towards the end now, isn't he? So maybe it's time for him to come back and just do a Royal Rumble appearance.
I had a question.
It expires in January of this year.
Oh,
unless there's a 1-year option for AEW. So obviously they're probably going to take that option where it could be there for till next year. But unless that doesn't get picked up, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's an option for an exclusive rights or whether he can still do other things.
Yeah. I had a question for you guys. I know, Andy, you're doing the hosting and stuff, but have you considered the possibility that Mickie James could win the Royal Rumble and then Charlotte Flair could be the one to beat her at WrestleMania, giving Impact the export? No, I'm not saying that that's what I want to happen, but could it be that WWE sees it like this? That Mickie James wins the Rumble, they gave her the Rumble as the Knockouts champion. Maybe down the line she drops the Knockouts championship and then she loses to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania.
I think Mickie James is top 3 to win the Rumble, and I think it's for that reason, to go into WrestleMania for a match with Charlotte Flair, and she gets a big WrestleMania match. She gets the Hall of Fame induction. Impact gets just so much press. You get the knockout title possibly on the WrestleMania show. I think it's just beneficial for all parties involved. Yeah. It gives Charlotte something new and fresh, which we haven't seen. So I think the possibility is there. But I don't see it being a title for title situation. I think
Charlotte can show up in Impact.
I just don't see Impact wanting someone that's not on their roster holding their title hostage again. It did nothing for them last time. It will do nothing for them this time.
I mean, it did give them a ratings pop for like 2 weeks.
I mean, one thing that nobody's mentioned, and to be fair, it's interesting for me when I looked at the participants for the Royal Rumble, is Charlotte Flair's actually in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. She wants to pick her challenger.
Yeah.
So could you imagine if she won the Rumble and then it was like, okay, well, I'm going against Becky Lynch?
I don't know. It's going to be someone that eliminates her.
I could imagine it. Do we see Ronda Rousey coming back?
No, Andy, shut up. It's Becky and Bianca. Shut up. Don't put that stupid nonsense in the universe.
I mean, Bayley could possibly return. I'm really hoping that she returns.
Well, funny you should say that because Dave Meltzer kind of put something like that around about half an hour ago, and Bayley shot him right down saying, OMFG.
This is news to me.
This is news to me. Thanks for letting me know.
It's not like they're ever wrong.
Edge said he wasn't returning 2 years ago. Like, obviously, they deny these rumors for a better pop.
If Bayley returns, she's winning the Rumble. In my opinion, it's not even a question.
Yeah, I hope she does.
But if she doesn't, I just have this feeling that the Mickie James one it's an interesting one. It creates buzz, which they did a few weeks ago. It creates more buzz, and it's just something new and awesome. And that's what I think they should be trying to go for at this point of the year.
Yeah. I mean, the other option as well is you have got Lita. Obviously, she appeared on Smackdown this week, and she had a little bit of an interaction with Charlotte Flair. Finished off with a twist of fate to end the segment. Could we see Lita win the Royal Rumble? Because she seems, with it appearing on SmackDown, though, we're kind of getting a bit of, it feels a bit different than just your normal Legends appearance, doesn't it?
I'll say this. I think Lita is perfect for a Saudi show. They always seem to be asking for like the old timers to come and give the fans that moment. And a Lita versus Charlotte match is just it just has the Saudi show written all over it. Lita probably eliminates her from the Rumble or something, and then that's where that goes.
Or Evolution too. It could be possible that they're planning for something.
When is this Saudi show?
It's in February.
Isn't the Chamber in Saudi Arabia, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So we've got Lita's 46, so she might have another run in it.
I think the report that recently came out of her being in talks with AEW, she could have picked up the women's roster of AEW a lot if that actually went down as planned.
So I think what happened there is AEW reached out to her, and then she just went to Vince and said, "Hey, they want to offer me this amount of money to come do the show." Vince said, "I'll give you more. Come over here." Lita said on SmackDown she has one more run in her, so she's definitely going to be wrestling going into WrestleMania. But again, Lita Charlotte is just a great. It's just a good Saudi match to me. Because again, they like the old timers to come so they can get to live that part that they missed prior.
Yeah. Also, talking of contracts, I really need to ask. So Edge's contract is coming up next year, and he did something similar with AEW. He was first reached out by AEW, and then he went to WWE. Do you think that after his contract comes up next year, he's gonna jump ship to AEW?
No.
I feel like he might.
No. Just one thing before we go as well that we haven't covered. Cody Graves is being cleared to return to competition. Where do you think he sits on the roster? Do you think he is just a mid-carder? Do you think he could get to the top of the cards with him being such a household name from his commentary? And if WWE done the story right, could he go? Could he be a contender?
Send him to NXT.
That's messed up, man. I don't think he's gonna be even a part-time wrestler. I think he's gonna just like a Royal Rumble appearance. That's great for him. He'll come in. Maybe he'll get a match every once in a while, but he's good on commentary. I think he's happy with that.
Is he?
I think he is. That's just me. I don't know. He seems very happy with it.
Don't forget, Jim. Roddy Piper was on commentary for how many years, and then come back and won an Intercontinental title and whatnot.
Corey Graves isn't Roddy Piper.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, if you're a wrestler and you've always been a wrestler, I tell you what, Courtney, if it's because of his wife Carmella, even if I had a bad head and she was my wife, I'd still want to, I'd wrestle if she
I
wanted
can
me to.
see the Carmella thing's good because I can see Corey coming out to do like mixed matches with Carmella against like Miz and Maurice or something like that. I can see him doing the Rumble. I can see him doing kind of like Jerry Lawler, where it would be like once or twice a year. He gets
how old are you now?
I couldn't tell you.
Is he 30? I think late 30s.
He could just have his few moments a year, but never really go full time into it. That's just how I see it happening. If he did, I would say mid-Carter tops.
He is 37 years old, so he's still got enough time.
He could.
Yeah, like that's
I just personally don't see it. That's just me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, there's a story there about overcoming adversity and all this stuff that could, and obviously Corey's well known from being a commentator, so, you know, I mean, what you could do is you could even have him as a commentator on one show and wrestle on the other. That would be typical WWE style, wouldn't it? That, no one will know we commentate on this because people who watch SmackDown only watch SmackDown in Vince's eyes, don't they?
I just need to point out something. So, introducing Corey Graves, Andy said that he was a household name.
Well, he is.
Well, does it count?
Well, if he's well known to the fans and he's well known to people, then...
Is he well known to casual fans? Like, he's just a voice.
I think anybody who watches Raw knows his name, for sure.
Well, and anybody that watches Raw would then know.
And also, and let's not forget, he's also appeared on Total Divas and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
So I think he's got a face for the people who watch Raw, where they'd be like, "That's Corey Graves," and I don't know. I wish they would have kept this under wraps though, because it would have been such an awesome moment for Corey Graves had they been like number 28 in the Royal Rumble. Corey Graves comes in, and that. Well,
do you know what? Do you know what would be even more awesome? Right? Is nobody's confirmed anything, so it'd be great if the Royal Rumble came and passed. We never seen anything from Corey.
I mean,
and then about 2 or 3 weeks later, when it's all settled down, somebody comes out and starts trying to attack him at ringside, and from the pulls him off the announce table and whatever else. Do you know what I mean?
We all know what's gonna happen. So the number, like the buzzer is gonna go, and Corey Graves is gonna be like, "Whose music it is?" And he's gonna get up, he's gonna take off his tux or whatever, and he's gonna just jump in the ring.
He's gonna have the Cesaro rip off tux.
Yeah.
I can see this now that it's a thing right now with Miz and Maurice. I can definitely see something happening where you get Miz and Maurice versus Corey and Carmella in
Carmella.
WrestleMania. That's a Vince idea for WrestleMania.
They need to drop the belts though, don't they? Carmella,
They need to get rid of them.
Yeah, yeah, they just need to go now, don't they?
I saw
Cody
someone
Graves.
come the idea where the Bellas win them, and then they just take them home, and we never see either of them again. Beautiful.
That's your
NXT
WrestleMania. That's your WrestleMania match there. The Bellas were to get the titles at WrestleMania. But who did he go against? That's the question. Isn't
Cody Graves and Carmella.
Hey, Reggie and Zayna, bro.
Chris, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, she could, mate. She really could.
what
What about Reggie and Dana Brooke win the tag titles? And then, hey, Reggie and Dana Brooke win the titles, and then at WrestleMania it's Reggie and Dana versus Cody and Carmella. For the newly crowned Intergender Tag Team
Don't be
Champions.
announcing these silly ass matches that I might have to go watch. I don't want to see it.
That's your
WWE.
I want to see it.
That's your
WWE.
24/7 match for the. Cody Graves is going to be slotted right into the 24/7 title picture. That's what's going to happen.
WWE need to call me. So,
I'll say the Corey Mella Miz Maurice match. I would actually be hyped for that because I feel like the segments alone between Miz and Corey Graves would be fantastic.
Oh, 100%.
I think it would just be
100%.
absolutely fantastic, and it's a high profile match to an extent. Because I think anytime you do something with Miz, it's high profile, whether people want to admit it or not.
Yeah. And also you can extend it to WrestleMania because you could start off with Miz coming over attacking Corey at the announce table or whatever else, and then to have a couple of matches. Pretty much the same kind of formula that they follow for Edge and Beth, you know.
Yeah, Corey Graves is out there talking. Mella's the most beautiful woman in the whole thing. Miz hears it. What are you saying about my wife? She's the most beautiful. He grabs him, slaps him. You're off to the races. It's simple. And another thing about Miz is he's safe. You don't have to worry about Corey Graves getting injured with the Miz. He's just a safe worker. It's just all around. There's a reason they put him with Bad Bunny. That's all I'm saying.
Cody Graves is only returning to be hit by the most devastating move in all of professional wrestling, the Saxtonator. Do you remember that fucking shitty move?
Guys, and on that bombshell, I think we'll wrap it up. WrestleBuddies, thank you so much for joining us for our weekly podcast. Jimmy, Zane, pleasure as always. It's always a pleasure to have you on. WrestleBuddies, don't forget to join us tomorrow night. We have got an exclusive interview live on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch. We will be joined by none other than Al Snow, so make sure that you do join us tomorrow night, 11 PM UK time, and Google it if you want to know wherever else that is in your part of the world. But until next time, WrestleBuddies, thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next time. I say, please make sure anybody, if you watch this back, let us know the comments on what we've discussed today, because it's really interesting to see what your thoughts on all this is, instead of saying stupid comments. So thanks very much. But anyway, guys, thank you, and we'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.